Guys of a Certain Age is brought to you by no one. Absolutely no one. Except these dudes walking down memory lane. Now let's head to the studio to see what they misremember next.
It's the podcast with less mumbling and misstatements than a presidential debate. It's Robbie Koblenz in studio, Guys of a Certain Age, alongside
Jay Reed.
You weren't expecting that one,
You
were
went there.
Yeah,
you went there.
I did not say who mumbled. I didn't say who had misstatements. I didn't say anything other than we have less here. That's all I said. That's all I said.
So far, anyway.
Yeah, so far, who knows? There's always a first, second, third, fourth time for everything, right? So how are you doing today, Jay?
Oh, fair to middling, hanging in there.
Yeah, so you finally listened to the guys and a girl in a wine. What did you say were the
two geeks, a girl, and a wine bar?
There you go. There you go. Paige did a great job, didn't she?
She did a terrific job.
Yeah.
I must say, yes.
It was probably the most listened to episode in quite a while, which is kind of funny. And I don't know if you saw any of the Facebook comments, but one of Paige's friends said, "I wish those guys would just hush and let Paige talk more."
I did see that one. Yeah, I'm like welcome to my world.
I'm like, well, Paige did talk more. Paige talked.
She talked quite a bit. Yes.
Yeah. It was fun. That was a lot of fun. I would love to get her back. So it's one of those guests that didn't need much prompting, and then she went. So
she's a natural.
Yeah, she is. She can talk as much as the rest of us. Well, let's jump into some geeks. Art's not going to join us. This is going to be a Jay and Robbie episode. So what do you have for a Geek of the Week?
There's a new movie coming out. I don't know if the trailer dropped today or if I just saw it today, but dropping November the 15th is a new Christmas movie called Red One. And
Red One.
So you can imagine Red One is kind of has the vibe of a presidential kind of a character. You know, Red One is moving, that kind of thing. You have that through the trailer. But it stars Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, as I think he's the head elf or the head of security for the North Pole. J.K. Simmons plays Santa.
I love J.K. Simmons.
And the trailer opens with him like lifting weights. So this is a jacked Santa, not a jolly fat Santa.
Yeah,
but
J.K. Simmons is not one to be trifled with.
No, so. he did. I mean, it's funny. So and then you've got they bring Lucy Liu is part of it.
Okay,
and then the sort of antagonist, anti-hero kind of a thing is Chris Evans. Basically, Santa Claus is kidnapped, and of course, it's right before Christmas. Christmas is in danger. All the things that entail a Christmas movie like that. But Chris Evans is like he's designated an NL4, which is a naughty list level 4.
Oh wow!
So they bring him in because he's a great tracker, and they want him to help find Santa. Of course, chaos and hilarity ensue after that, and it might be ridiculous, but the trailer looked like it would be a fun movie. It's PG-13, so it's not for the necessarily for the kiddos, but it could be one that would be watched over and over if they do it right.
So it's live action, not animated.
It's live action, yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's gonna be hilarious.
It looks like it has a lot of effects. There's a polar bear that's in it that walks and talks, and then there's some sort of nefarious looking snowman that seemingly can't be destroyed.
Wow.
Snowmen on a beach, in fact, that they're not even melting. So
called Red One?
Red One, yeah.
I'm going to have to look this up.
It sort of has, spy elements, superhero elements in a sense, just a lot of things.
I'm going to play it. I'll turn down the audio so it doesn't blast over the speakers.
So November 15th. There's another one. I watched another trailer, another Tom Hanks movie coming out on that same day. So it could be a big day for movies. But I think that'll be the intro to my Christmas season this year.
So it's Amazon MGM Studios released, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, but it's only in theaters.
Wow. So The Rock is his personal trainer.
He's like his spotter.
This looks really, really good. I mean,
as long as it's not all the good stuff in the trailer kind of a thing. That can happen. But
that's what happens with trailers. So, Red One.
But it looks great.
It does. It looks really, really good. So, I'll have to finish watching this later. There's Lucy Liu. There's There's Chris Evans, everybody.
I mean, it's got the cast. If the cast, if they do what they can do and do it right, it'll be good.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, that looks good. My geek, since I was late to the party today because I had meetings. Doctor Who finished up last week. Have you seen any of this season yet?
Not of the season, no. Just the specials.
I guess my question is, when does a TV show run its course? And I'm kind of at a crossroads with Doctor Who. I still, I have such fond memories of, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, but it just gets more and more. There's more silliness imparted to it, and it's a timey-wimey sort of plot, and there's just so many holes, and I just wonder if I'm almost at the end of my road with Doctor Who. So
that's huge.
Well, Shoot It Got What was great, but the finale was a callback to a 1974 episode called The Pyramids of Mars, and they brought a big bad back from then. And that was cool, but one of the ways that they set up that, it was this villain has been riding around in the Tardis for 40 years.
And nobody saw him?
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just like, no. Yeah. So those are the things I'm just questioning, when does a show run its course? And, probably the same could be applied to Star Trek at some points. What about Star Wars? Are we at a point with Star Wars? I don't know. Have you seen The Acolyte?
I haven't seen any of it yet.
I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it quite a bit, but, it's getting savaged on the interwebs. Because there's a lot of retconning going on. Stuff that came out in the prequels is like, oh, that wasn't necessarily true, and at what point do you just kind of close the cupboard and just let those characters exist, and you stop trying to mine? So, when Disney bought Marvel and bought Lucasfilm, they relaunched the Star Wars comic books, and these days comic books are a little bit more limited run. So they had a Star Wars series that took place between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, which was roughly a 3-year period. And between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi is supposedly a 1-year period. So they crammed 50 issues of a Star Wars comic in the 1 year between Empire and Jedi. And this is all canon now. And it's like, it just gets a little crazy.
So the comics are canon.
Yeah, the comics are canon.
Okay.
So, anyway, so I guess that's my big picture question. At what point is enough enough?
At what point is it possible even to keep up with all that?
Well, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean, you reach a point where, who is in charge of that? I'm sure they have somebody. And we've talked about that before with Marvel. There's somebody who's keeping up with it, but is it worth it?
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the fun things about the old Star Wars expanded universe, is that they just went off on these crazy tangents, right? And it was a huge spaghetti mess of stories spanning 10,000 years. And Marvel, Disney, when they bought Lucasfilm, they basically said the only thing that's canon going forward are the movies. And then they started bringing back, they dubbed that the expanded universe. They started bringing back some of those elements in. And we've seen them in, the Book of Boba Fett. We've seen them in The Mandalorian. We've seen them in Ahsoka, Rebels, a few other places. But, anyway, it's just, I guess that would be more of an episode than a geek. But I was a little disappointed with the season finale of Doctor Who. Because I just don't think Russell T. Davies did the show its due with what he tried to build up, and he did a couple of head fakes and whatnot. So I'm at a point where I would prefer more standalone Doctor Who stories with the principal actor and the companion than having these grandiose season-long questions we have to answer. So anyway, that just
That
a little.
sound like another episode. We can talk about all those things.
Yeah, so that's kind of my geek because I'm too lazy to do anything else. But I will ask you: have you watched The Bear season 1 and 2?
Yeah, I'm caught up. Except, I mean, it just started as we record the season 3. I haven't started it yet.
Yeah, I'm about 2/3 of the way through the first episode. One of the best edited pieces I've ever seen.
Huh.
So that show really does continue to push some boundaries. I like what they're doing. I'm really looking forward to this season. Also, as we record, there's a new Deadpool and Wolverine trailer that dropped today.
Okay.
That teases a rematch between Wolverine and Sabretooth,
Oh gosh.
which that should be a lot of fun. I am so looking forward to that movie.
And that drops when? July
20 something.
I feel like we're getting these teaser bits where people are coming in that, I didn't realize so-and-so was going to be in that. And then we're going to get there. And there's going to be even more.
Yeah, I think so.
They're not going to release at all until.
Yeah. I mean, not unlike.
Which I'm glad.
Spider-Man No Way Home, where you had Garfield and
Right.
and Tobey Maguire. So anyway, yeah, there you have it. So you got a regrettable?
I do. This one is a bit unique. It is sort of brings us into the world of, I don't know, kind of not Game of Thrones really, but maybe Narnia a little bit.
Okay.
His name is Speed Centaur, and as you might imagine, he is a fast centaur. Centaur,
my goodness.
horse with a man's torso. And this happened in 1939. Amazing Mystery Funnies, Volume 2, Number 8 was the first one. And I couldn't tell exactly how long it lasted, but maybe a dozen or 2 dozen at least appearances. Martin Kildale was the creator. So he basically got this mysterious city in the Arctic that was destroyed by an earthquake, and the lone survivor was this centaur that wandered out and was found by a kindly trapper. And the kindly trapper raised him to hate evil. And on his, I know the story is terrible. On his deathbed, he said, "Your mission is to go to the nearby city, the city of Rackets, and to basically
the
clean it
city
up."
of Rackets?
Rackets. Yeah, I guess like racketeering. I don't think it was a tennis city.
Oh my.
Not a pickleball city. But anyway, he finds he foils the crime of some guy, killer, diller, or something like that. In the meantime, he saves the life of James Jerry Reel, Reel McCoy, who is a reporter or newsman of some sort. Becomes the sidekick. So, I mean, the upside of the powers, he can fly. He's super strong. He is super fast. The downside is it's hard to have a secret identity when you're a centaur. So, there wasn't a lot of hiding, except for the fact he did have what they called a mask. So he had this sort of torso covering, so he could actually look like an actual horse. And so their sort of secret identity was of a street vendor and his pack animal. So, yeah. The other interesting thing about him was that they lived in this cave on Knob Nose Mountain, but also in the cave were hairy green rhinoceros-like monsters that they had to fight from time to time, and a lost medieval kingdom that they discovered. So it's just bizarre. I'm thinking for sure regrettable on this one. I can't see this one.
Yeah, pretty regrettable. It's got shades of Piers Anthony's Xanth novels,
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, can you show me the?
Yeah, the artwork is. I didn't think was that terrific either.
Speed Centaur. Wow. Yeah, I would say regrettable, and I'm going to guess that probably Art would say regrettable. How long did it last? Did you say? You said.
I looked. The book didn't say. I looked it online, and it looked like he had lasted,
Pardon me.
about maybe a dozen and a half comics. I only got 2 covers, so he was a part of another comic, not really featured too much, being in the Amazing Mystery Funnies. So,
yeah,
we'll leave him. Leave him in the golden age.
We will leave him in the golden age. So, okay. All right. So, up next, we're going to talk to Jay. This is his life. And Jay has quizzed Art down. He's quizzed me down. So it's time for Jay to be in the hot seat.
After Paige's success as a guest, I'm kind of wondering if this is my exit interview.
Well, that's a little strong. I mean, exit's probably a little strong. So,
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Well, look. So it's part of our series of Get to Know the Guys. So let's jump into a couple things with you. So you were born and raised in Starkville, correct?
Was not born here. I was born in Houston, Texas. My dad worked for NASA. I think we've talked about that before.
So you were actually born in Houston. I thought you were born here. You guys went to Houston, and then you came back. So you're a space baby.
I'm a space baby, born in Houston. We lived there all of about 5 weeks, I think. Mrs. Reed will correct us if we need to be corrected. But 4 or 5 weeks, and then my dad got a job here at Mississippi State, and we moved back, and they've never left.
Yeah, they've been here the entire time.
Yeah, since 1967.
Yeah, wow. So he was how long was he at the space working for NASA?
I want to say about a year or two. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
But a year or two.
Now, Rusty's older?
Nope, Rusty's younger.
Rusty's younger, sorry.
Rusty was born here, yeah.
So Rusty is a native Mississippian, unlike
correct.
the rest of his family, so.
Let's see, Daddy's from Arkansas.
Okay. Your mom's from Belmont.
Right.
Yeah.
So Rusty and Mom are born in Mississippi. And
Gotcha.
I was born in Texas and Daddy Arkansas. So.
You two foreigners.
Burners.
Foreigners.
Yep.
Foreigners. So, all right, so 5 weeks, you get here.
But I was always very proud of my Texan status. Seriously, all through my elementary, high school year, I was very proud that I was a Texan.
Boy, what is it about you Texans
I don't know.
Texas? Yeah, I was born in Texas. I'm better than everybody else. So,
and I still think it's fun, but I'm definitely a Mississippian.
So you grew up here in Starkville, went to Starkville High School.
Right.
You were in band.
Very much a band dude. Yep.
So talk about that. You did lines band. You were a drummer?
Yeah, I was a drummer. Yeah, I started out playing piano. I was one of those kids that was forced to take piano lessons from like second grade on.
See, I wish I would have taken piano lessons.
Well, I wish I had. I mean, I know I wish I didn't have to say this, but I wish I could play more now. I mean, I still can sit down and play a few little things, but and I would like to kind of
chopsticks
get back to
doesn't count.
No, I'm a little bit beyond chopsticks.
Okay, good.
But yeah, and I think that started me in being able to, with the reading music and being interested in music. But then when I got to band, honestly, there was a guy across the street from me who was a drummer. He was a year ahead of me, and that got me interested. And I decided to be a drummer, and it worked out pretty well. So from 6th grade on, up to about 10th grade, I did drum and piano, but lost interest in the piano. And I had this conversation with Mom, and it's like, you know what, because by that time I was in lines band from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
You were one of those people.
Four-year lines band member. And in 9th grade, I got to go to South Africa with the band.
I remember that trip.
And
not because of you, though. Because I knew people who went.
You know other people. Yeah, right,
yeah.
Right. So I went to Mama and I said, look, my piano career has taken me to Columbus, 30 minutes away. My band career has taken me to Africa. I can't do both. Let's stick with the drums. And that's what I did. So.
Yeah. Now, snare, were you always a snare player?
Pretty much. I mean, not in concert band, you play all the things.
You play all the things. But the
as far as marching, yeah.
Yeah, the hierarchy in a marching band is snare, quads, bass, cymbals.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's so different. Now you've got a whole pit. It's got the xylophones and all the stuff there, so it's completely different now than when I was in band. But
we had bells players at Meridian High when I was in marching band.
Occasionally we'd have bells, but not like they have them now.
Yeah,
not like a whole pit full.
Whole pit with amplifiers and everything, guitar solos, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So
we were military style.
Yeah, the band of the blue and the gray. That's right. That's right. We, there was always, the argument was always, who's the better high school marching band in the state of Mississippi? Starkville, Warren Central, or Meridian?
It was quite the competition. I remember when we started playing Meridian in high school. It was a big deal.
And we kicked your butts every time.
I recall it differently, but
the games I attended when I was in the band. And
yeah, well, I was a little bit older than you, so.
you were, yeah. But 85, we came up here and whooped.
That's possible. It's possible.
And then we beat Starkville in the state championship.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great. So, but anyway. So, graduated, and then you went to the University of Mississippi.
That is correct.
So, what took you to Ole Miss?
Family tradition was a big part of it, to be honest. I applied to several places. I wanted to go to Baylor.
Ooh, yeah.
I
Waco.
Going back to my Texas roots.
You would be going home.
I actually had a roommate. I had it all set up, but it just didn't work out. Went up to Ole Miss and visited, and because my mom and dad had met there, uncles, cousins had been there, so I had strong ties. Went up there, it felt good, felt right, and I wanted to get away. I wasn't trying to get away from anything. Just wanted to be a little bit away from home for a while, and so it worked out. But I went out thinking I was going to be a biomedical engineer, and a friend of mine had said, if she who is one, she said if I had it to do over, I'd do EE first, and then I go into biomedical after. And
EE,
electrical engineering.
Okay.
And so I was in electrical engineering for about a semester and decided that was not for me.
Yeah.
And,
well, if you're going to do EE, you should have stayed here.
Well, that's the thing. I
much better.
Logically, the engineering school was here, but I was thinking I was going to do more grad stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So it just didn't happen. I thought, well, I'm going to do biology now, go at it from a different angle, and then lost interest completely. Pharmacy school was there on campus. Lots of friends who were involved, and it looked like it just seemed like a natural fit. Still in the science world,
sure,
but not something that I had to stay up all night.
So pharmacy school is a 2-year beyond your bachelor's, correct?
It's completely different now.
How was it then?
At that point, it was 2 years of pre-pharmacy and 3 years of pharmacy school, 5 years total.
A 5-year degree.
Yeah, so I squeezed it into 6. I took an extra year because of those 2 major changes.
Yeah.
But I don't regret that
in both
at all.
senses of the word.
Yeah. I don't regret that at all. I had a great time and gave me a year to kind of prep before pharmacy school hit hard.
What'd you make an organic, by the way? We never had that.
Organic was my first B, maybe C. I don't think it was a C, but organic killed me.
I can't remember. I think I did a C in organic.
I was not happy in organic.
Oh man! And the bad thing about organic then, because I took organic like in 89, 90, and you were probably 85, 84, 85.
Well, organic would have been 86, 87. Right?
Okay, so the same thing back in those days. You had to visualize carbon molecules with little erector set models.
Probably still have my set.
Yeah. And so it was very difficult to visualize a carbon molecule, whether it was left hand or right hand or all that stuff. Is this coming back?
Oh, yeah.
And as opposed to today where you have 3D modeling where it's super simple to look at. You had to use a little bit more imagination and understand the fundamentals of. What killed me in organic was the blooming labs. I mean, the labs were forever.
Yeah, I was not a fan of any labs at all.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mind chem lab, but organic, man, I hated to wash dishes. I mean, so my organic chemistry teacher, he said, now again, this is the late 80s, different world. He said, when I got married, I told my wife I was going to wash dishes at home because that's all I do every day, all the day, you know. All right, Mr. Gillen. So, but all right. So you did what year did you graduate from pharmacy school?
91, and that was with a bachelor in pharmacy, which was the degree at the time. The PharmD degree was just coming in, and it was a post bachelor 2-year add-on that you could do. It had just started the year before, but I never went back and did that.
Okay. So first job out of college, where'd you go?
Went to North Carolina. Worked for Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah, I had worked for Walmart here in the summers and holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
And the pharmacist that I worked for, one of them's still here.
Who's that?
That'd be Nancy Miles.
Okay.
Yep. She claims to have taught me everything I know, and she's probably pretty close to right.
So you would have been a tech at that point, right?
There was really no such thing as a tech then.
Okay.
No, there was a clerk. I just worked as a clerk and just kind of got a feel for it, but there wasn't until I got into pharmacy school. Then that's when you started working behind the counter and
Gotcha.
doing those pharmacy functions. But when I was Walmart here, I was just a clerk. But there is a funny story about that. One of the things that they used to do, you remember, welcome Walmart shoppers if you come back to so-and-so, whatever. Well, they had that, you pick up the phone, you hit the button, and you start talking. So they had me do some of those announcements for the pharmacy. And the district manager liked what I did, and so he asked me to make a cassette tape that he could duplicate and play at his other pharmacies that were in his district. So I did that, and one time I was in Oxford walking through Walmart, and all of a sudden I hear my voice over the intercom because they were playing my tape. But yeah, so anyway, Jenny Jones was the other pharmacist. She had moved to North Carolina, and they were building a bunch of stores at that point, new stores of Walmart. And so I called her and said, what you got out there? Because I know y'all are needing new people. And so she arranged for me to come out there. And so I went straight. Literally, I was out. I graduated on a Saturday, and like Tuesday, we were in the big van moving my stuff out to North Carolina.
So that was June of 91? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So as you're moving away, I'm moving in because I move in. I come to Starkville August of 91.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I just left. Well, I just left the state.
Yeah, exactly. So you go out there. Then what happens?
I worked out there for about 9 years total, and kind of in the middle of that, Melissa, my wife,
she was
my current wife.
Yeah.
My first wife, first and only. She came about 95, I think. And she was just she's an occupational therapist and was doing one of her rotations there at the hospital, at the rehab hospital. And I happen to know a bunch of people that went to that hospital. They came to our church, and that's where we met. And she ended up staying as well once she graduated from college.
So that would have been 95 you guys met?
I think we met around 95 because we got married in 97, and it was a year or two before.
Yeah. So you get married in 97. What month were you?
February.
Okay. So you guys we're married 6 months longer than you are because we were married July of 96.
Okay.
So, and then, so pharmacy took you overseas at that point, or?
Yeah, we were probably married. So we got married in 97. So the end of 99, just prior to, the whole Y2K stuff.
Yeah.
We just through a series of sort of unusual circumstances, I'd met this guy who was working at a hospital in the Middle East, and he's like, we need more people, and Melissa was interested in living overseas for a while, and so everything fell together, and so we ended up in 99 with Jacob, and Jacob was born in 98.
Okay.
So he was like a year and a half old when we moved to Yemen.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So you've always been an avid collector.
Yeah.
So did you take any collections with you overseas, or did you ship them back to Mississippi?
That's a good question. I don't think I really took much, no, because living in a place like that, and really anywhere overseas. I mean, I'm not just talking about the Middle East, although there were some dicey days from time to time, but generally speaking, you have to be able to pick up and go at any point.
Yeah.
And you may or may not be able to bring the things that you have. So you kind of have to hold them in your hand loosely, as they say.
Yeah.
And so I didn't bring anything. I didn't bring anything, but I think the first Christmas we were there, first or second Christmas, Melissa had found a Jerry Rice autographed jersey, and that was my Christmas gift. And she did bring that, and I don't know if like my family member brought it and whatever, but I did have that Jerry Rice jersey there for a while.
Wow!
But I didn't take it with me; it came later.
So how long would it take you to get from Mississippi to Yemen or vice versa?
Flight wise, well, at the time we had to fly like to Frankfurt, Lufthansa, or maybe to Amsterdam, and then to the capital from there, Sana'a. So it's a full day.
Wow,
for sure.
I've
and
never.
now you can fly from Dubai, which is only a 2 or 3 hour flight from Yemen, if that long.
Yeah.
You can fly from Dubai straight to Atlanta. So
Because
towards the end of our time, we were there about 10 years, and towards the end of that 10 years, that's what we ended up doing. So it's nice to not have the layovers.
Yeah.
But it's a long flight.
That would be a long
with
flight.
children.
Yeah, yeah. So Lauren was born in.
She was born there.
Yeah. So that's why she talks funny. No, I'm joking, Lauren. I'm joking. Just joking.
She's probably not listening.
Yeah, she's not.
She might listen to this one.
Yeah, maybe. So when did you guys make it back? When did you transition back to the States?
July 2009.
So what brought you back here?
Just a variety of things. There was just some stuff that we needed to do here and couldn't do there. And so I kind of came back with no job, and but had kept up my pharmacy license through the whole time.
Yeah.
So because you just never know. So
Yeah.
I was able to keep up my license in North Carolina. So when we came back here, we decided we had spent a summer here. And just really, even Melissa enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised when we started talking about, well, where do we want to live when we come back? And she's like, well, I kind of like the idea of Starkville. So that's what we did. And thought, well, this is where I grew up. I mean, I raised my kids here. That'd be great. So
And when
I just had to get my Mississippi license, which didn't take a lot.
Yeah. And you're talking about your Mississippi pharmacy license, not your I'm not a Texan anymore. I'm going to be a Mississippi
My
license.
Texas passport had to turn it in.
Yeah, that's right. So when did you came back in 2009?
Yeah.
Okay. So you moved back in 2009, and then you get back into the pharmacy game. You've worked at like every pharmacy in like a 3-county area.
My resume is kind of a wreck.
Yeah, it really kind of is. You are the one they call Dr. Feelgood. So, and you're still a pharmacist to this day. Melissa's still doing OT.
Right.
So, but talk about your love for food and food journalism, because that's how I got to know you was through. Where did we first meet? We met at.
Pretty sure we met at Wes's barbecue thing out on campus.
On campus, that's right.
Baseball.
And then I think we met at a Super Bulldog weekend when Wes
that's what it was. Yeah. When they were having some kind of competition out there.
Yeah.
You were taking pictures and
I
was eating.
Shooting a little bit of video and met you. And then there was we met, I forgot ever how else we talked a little bit. This was right at the front of, right before Mark jumped into culinary fame.
Yeah, I think we just kind of kept running into each other for a bit, and then I was writing the column at that point. But I mean, to backtrack a little bit, while we were overseas, my interest in food peaked.
Yeah,
I think I used to get Oxford American magazine, which at one time was based in Oxford. Actually, now it's in Arkansas.
I remember that magazine.
But there was a food. Every now and then there was a food issue. And I began to really, I don't know, it just kind of happened between reading that kind of stuff and being fascinated by it. And also, whenever we traveled, I would keep a journal. And I began to notice that I was keeping up more with what I ate than what I was seeing.
Yeah.
And then the third element of that is Calvin Trillin. I just kind of fell into his books. And he's kind of I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's kind of a humorist. He wrote for the New Yorker for a long time, may still, but kind of light, funny stuff. And a lot of what I fell into his work accidentally. I found a book at a used bookstore, I think a book on tape that I listened to and liked it. So I looked for more of his stuff. And a lot of his stuff is based around food.
Gotcha.
So when I read him, I'm like, okay, I could write like this, or I like writing like this. And so kind of a compilation of all that. And then we got back to Starkville, and I had written some little essays just for my own personal use and just for fun. I've always kind of written to some degree, whether it's journaling or whatever. And so when we got back here, there was a food section. It doesn't exist now, but there was a food section in our local paper. And I began to read what was there, and I'm like, maybe I could do this. Yeah. So got in touch with the food editor at the time, lifestyles editor.
Who's that?
Gwen Sisson.
I remember Gwen. Yeah.
So we just, again, another set a bizarre. There was a writers group that was going to begin. She was part of starting that, and so the very first writers group meeting, I showed up with a CD and a folder full of samples, and said, I would love to write for the paper. Here's some stuff. And she wrote me back quite soon and said, hey, we're getting ready to expand the food section. This is a great time. We would love to have something. So that was, 2010 maybe.
Wow. Okay.
Thereabouts. It was about a year after we'd been here, about a year or so after that. So I wrote weekly column for 10 years for the paper. And
wow.
I think that's what got me connected with Wes, and that's what got me connected with you. And then, I don't jump the gun, but I did some things. That job got me some other things, which was writing for Eat, Drink, Mississippi magazine. I did a column on the back page for that. Yeah. And then also through our local Chamber of Commerce, they got me to help out with Restaurant Week, and that was a fun week, hard week in a way. Yeah. But I would eat somewhere on Monday and go home and write about it and be published the next day. And then every day I ate somewhere else that was participating in Restaurant Week. And that was the first time. Now the next year is when they brought you in. Yeah. And Mark was kind of at the height of his notoriety as a kid chef. Yeah. Right in the middle of that. Yeah. So,
because that was right after Chopped and before MasterChef.
I think so. Yeah.
And so and that's where I got to know you fairly well, working with you since you became my son's TV dad. Mm-hmm. And let's see, we shot at Two Brothers. We shot at
The Grill.
We shot at Dorigo's.
We ended up shooting at the Camp House later. Yeah. I feel like there was another one. City Bagel.
Did we do see it?
Yeah. For Italian, it was Italian. Yeah. Or was it? Had it become? It was still City Bagel, but
yeah, it was after Ty and Brian had bought it because we got Chef Dylan.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that was. I thought those were really successful.
I loved doing those, and I still like to go back and look at them. Mark and I had like a lot of fun.
You did. You guys clicked, and that got a lot of notoriety for both of you. In fact, what you were in Food Max or Vowels at the time?
Yeah, I was in Vowels, the local what used to be the Piggly Wiggly, and the manager was a acquaintance of mine, and he said, "Hey, I'm really enjoying watching you and your son on those videos."
It's hilarious. And then Siri on your phone, the Photos app, we've talked about this before, and your phone started. Basically, there's so many pictures of you and Mark, it assumed you were family, right?
Yeah, it had Mark as my family in my photos section, and kind of pushed Jacob out because Jacob was at camp that summer working, and I was between the videos that we were doing, and then I think I sent y'all something the other day. I went to the market one day and helped him make crepes, and
I've forgotten about that. Yeah.
So there was just a lot of things that we ended up doing together. And then I don't know at what point did Making of a Chef start. I mean, I wasn't intimately involved with that, but
gosh, I think we were working on the third season when COVID hit of February 20. So we had a season in 19 and a season in 18. So we started shooting fall of 17 for Making a Chef. Okay. And then first season hit summer of 18, then summer of 19. And so you came in and we did the pizza episode.
And I was on the brisket episode.
In the brisket episode where Mark tried to do brisket and failed miserably.
In his homemade smoker?
Oh, his homemade smoker made out of cardboard. And why he ever thought that was a good idea, he swears he saw somebody do it online.
Made some good television, though.
Yeah, well, anyway, it was a lot of fun. So, but all right, so that's your food career. Now, you're not writing anymore
Not currently. My blog is still online. I haven't added to it much lately. I have some things kind of in the cooker, but nothing has been published in a while. So we
started the podcast. When did we start the podcast?
4 or 5 years ago. It's been we're nearing 300 episodes. So divide that by 50. That's
It's almost 6. Yeah, like 5 years ago. So you, Art, and I had lunch at Stagger Inn. And I pitched the idea of the podcast. And
but before that, you were like, "Don't you know Art Shirley? He went to Ole Miss."
Yeah, that's right.
Just constantly asking me about new Art
because you guys were there. I mean, he was leaving when you were coming in.
Yeah.
You know,
really
and
overlap.
there's not a lot of Ole Miss people who frequent Starkville, so I just kind of lump all 6 of you together.
Right.
You know, so but yeah.
Stagger Inn was our start.
The old Stagger Inn, not the new Stagger Inn, and so we started guys of a certain age. But you and Jacob also started a podcast.
Yeah, Jacob was listening and said, "Why don't we do one too?
Yeah,
and let's do it about food." So we're that's kind of on hiatus now as well. But we did Vittles and Vitals, and we'd pick a topic and then talk about that topic, a supposedly vital topic.
Yeah,
and then talk about how food related to it at the end. So
how many episodes have you done?
Oh, I'm going to say a couple dozen, probably.
Nice.
I haven't counted them lately, and we've got a couple that we've recorded and haven't released. So he's coming in a couple of weeks. So I'm hoping we'll be able to.
Yeah.
He was in seminary and quite busy, full-time job and full-time student. So we kind of had, and he was the editor. So
yeah,
we had to put that on pause for a little while.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about Jacob. Jacob is married. What's Jacob doing now?
Jacob's a children's minister at a big church in Youngsville, North Carolina, Faith Baptist.
He's 26.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah.
I did the math. So there you go. And then Lauren, who we have a little history with Lauren because she worked with us at Dolce and love Lauren to death. Jacob, I'm sure, is a great kid, but spending a heck of a lot more time with Lauren.
Right.
So Lauren's married. They're living in Orlando.
Right.
So
yeah, they're both got their masters in social work and are working and living in Orlando or near Orlando.
Yeah. Little ways away.
Metropolis. Yeah, so we're like, we're here in the Golden Triangle. My Golden Triangle has expanded significantly.
Yeah, that's a big triangle because North Carolina, Florida, Starkville.
Yeah, and they're both a full day's drive from here.
Yeah.
So.
And then Rusty is in North Carolina as well.
He's in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so and my mother-in-law is in Bostic, which is just on the other side of Asheville. So most of our family, we do have some family in Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, from my dad's side primarily. But as far as immediate family and in-laws and stuff, that's pretty much Melissa's family all lives east. Yeah. So we tend to go that direction a good bit.
Yeah. You and Art Art did not move back to Leland. He moved to West Point, I think, when he was a junior in high school, but he came through school and then moved away and came back. You went through school, moved away and came back. What was the thing you missed most about Starkville while you were gone, those 8-10 years you were overseas?
That's a good question. I think just the fact that it was home, and that's pretty broad, but there's just a comfort level here. I had a very good experience growing up here. I liked being in a college town. There was, even though I went to a different college, being here, going to games, having all the culture that came with a college town.
Sure.
I loved that. I had good friends here. Also loved living in Asheville. I mean, that was a toss-up when we came back. Would we go back to Asheville where we had begun our married lives together, or would we go back to somewhere else? So I don't know if there was any one certain thing. It's just a sense of peace when we were here. Yeah.
Favorite thing to eat in Yemen?
I wish I had been more adventurous. I did have some fun things. I did have camel there once, but it wasn't. But I never went out to the part of the country where they actually served it in restaurants. I got it in a big superstore and like a big grocery store, and took it home.
Costco
and put it in the crock
camel.
Pot. It was some kind of hypermarket something. We brought back some camel and put it in the crock pot with some barbecue sauce.
Tastes like chicken.
We Mississippi'd it up pretty good.
Yeah.
But there was something called salta and something very similar to that called fasa, and they bring it out. It's basically kind of a stew. Sometimes it'll have all kinds of ingredients, but it's like a stew, a little bit of meat in the salta. Mm-hmm. The fasa has the same idea, but it is much more meaty, but basically it comes out in a clay bowl.
I'm looking at it.
It's just sizzling. And they bring out this fresh bread, and you're eating it with your hands.
It's kind of like soup fajitas.
Kinda. I mean, but your utensil is the bread.
Yeah.
And you have to be super careful not to burn yourself. You will.
Yeah.
Definitely burn. But it is so good.
There's like Indian food. You use naan to scoop.
Same idea.
Yeah.
And then there was a sweet called bint sahin, which means kind of daughter of the dish. And it's just it's not like baklava in the sense, it doesn't have that same flavor, but very, very thin layers of pastry.
Yeah.
All kind of in this round pan, and then you sprinkle. Sometimes it would have egg in it. Sometimes you drizzle honey in this black seed on top of it. And I mean, I haven't tried to make it yet. I understand it's very hard to make.
Yeah.
But every time I find a Yemeni restaurant, I'm like, I know it's not on the menu, but do you have any bint sahin?
Yeah.
So far, I've been unsuccessful.
No. So what's the closest Yemeni restaurant to us?
Memphis. Queen of Sheba.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to eat in Starkville? If you're going to go out to eat, you can only eat one thing. What's your go-to dish in Starkville?
Gosh. That's tough.
Yeah, come on. I want to see what you got.
I don't know that I have one, because I'm the kind of, let me explain this way.
You go through a menu like no one else. You go to a restaurant and you start at the top and you work your way through.
I do. And my wife, and I've come to appreciate this. I didn't understand it at first. She will go to a Mexican restaurant and get chicken fajitas every time.
Me too.
When we go to Tyler, she gets the fried chicken and the mac and cheese, and she gets pretty much the same thing every time. I want to know what the special is first, and if it sounds interesting, that's what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
Because FOMO, you this may never happen again, and most of the other things on the menu are going to be there next time.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the unusual. I don't have really a go-to dish. I love pizza. I love fried chicken, but I don't necessarily get that when I go out. I love fried catfish, but unless I'm just in the mood. But I do like shrimp and grits.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a favorite, but I try anytime it's available. If I haven't tried it at that restaurant, then I'm probably going to get shrimp and grits. The other thing is going to be fish tacos.
So who has the best shrimp and grits in Starkville?
I don't know now, because it's been
who is anybody serving shrimp and grits?
Tyler still serves it.
Yeah.
Georgia Blue has it. Camp House has a version.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else might. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody that does it. But I like all of those.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not just trying to be nice here. I like them all.
Best fish tacos?
I don't know that we have great fish tacos here.
Yeah.
If I can get them at some of the Mexican restaurants, but I don't know that I really have.
The Grill has fish tacos,
and they're good. They are good.
Mahi,
I haven't had them in a while, but they are good. Yeah, and then there's Casa Bravo has some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
They have 2 or 3 different varieties actually. So, but yeah, I mean those are the two things when I'm traveling, when I'm going around. If it looks decent at all, I'm probably going to go with that.
Well, so I should have asked you, the question was, when you came back to visit, what was the restaurant you went out to in Starkville?
Okay, so when I came home from North Carolina, we would almost always kind of have the same flight schedule, because there's not a lot of schedule in the GTR.
Yeah.
I'd get off the plane, we'd get in the car, and we'd go straight to Obie's.
Okay.
Yeah, around the world sandwich. That's one thing that I have rarely veered from, which is kind of unusual for me.
Yeah.
But we'd go to Obie's. We would go to Little Dewey. Those two are probably the go-to. Sometimes I'm trying to think when Anthony's came into picture, but Anthony's eventually came into that in West Point.
Okay.
But yeah, Obie's straight off the plane.
Really?
Yep.
Obie's is fine. Bonnie really liked Obie's with her red beans and rice, which is done. It is something completely different now. It's more of a chili. And I'm trying to see what's on the around the world. Po' boy.
So several different meats and maybe some olive salad.
Oh, here we go.
It's kind of a cross between like a
salami, pepperoni, smoked ham, roast beef, Swiss cheese, mayo, and Obi's homemade Italian olive salad.
Yeah, so it's not a muffaletta really, but it has muffaletta vibes.
I really like their Ultimate Chicken Club.
Yeah, and the bread. I mean, the bread is what makes the sandwich.
It is.
But all that stuff.
So, where's your go-to at Little Dewey when you came?
Pretty much. Now I like to get the brisket, but pulled pork. Yeah, pulled pork plate with sometimes. Now I kind of go towards greens and slaw. I like the beans. They don't really have a side I don't like, but probably fries and slaw.
Yeah. Cool. Any last words of wisdom from the Jay Fountain of Knowledge? Because, 35 minutes all about Jay.
Well, one thing I think is kind of fascinating about how my life has developed has a lot to do with what we're doing now. I could have never imagined 10 years ago that I'd be doing this and we'd be this close to 300, and that this would be such a regular part of my week. It's just kind of fascinating and bizarre in a way.
I can't believe we've kept it going.
Yeah.
So,
but it's opened up a whole new kind of world as far as the broadcast side of it. It started with the stuff with Mark. That was just so much fun, and so I'm glad I've been able to continue it in this way. And the writing will come back. Yeah, I hope. That's the plan. I feel like I've got some books in me, but we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah. Should be fun. You've already got a cookbook.
Sort of, yeah.
And I don't know where my copy is. It may be at the house with the rest of our cookbooks. I was thinking about that the other day.
It's probably in your safe. But
I don't have anything in the safe. Yeah. So, but all right. Well, cool. Jay, this has been fun. This was a great idea. I've so enjoyed doing this podcast with both of you guys to get to know you a little bit better. Of course, Art and I forget what we talk about, but
that's why I take notes.
That's why you take notes. But it's been a blast. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up. We will see you next time around.